Hello, everybody. I know you're asking yourself, why are you sitting there wearing a hard hat? I have to explain. So, this hard hat I found in my dad's work shed. If you saw my previous post, it wasn't a video, it was just a post just explaining how I had last year around this time, I had done a blog about my dad's work shed here in the backyard called it's the Cuartito, the small room. It was his work shed. So I did a post last year. It was a part 2, the Cuartito part 2. And I did my first post about the Cuartito back in 2020. First explaining what the Cuartito was and what it meant to me. Part 2, which is the one that I did last year that I put in the link in my previous post, explains what happened after he passed in November of 2022. I'm going to take this off, but I just wanted to wear it. Anyways, this was my dad's hard hat. For 20 plus years, he worked at the local cement plant. He was a chemist. So he made samples of the cement and, he worked in the office there. So in the Cuartito, which I kind of explained, but I'll kind of touch on it right now. Excuse the hairdo. The Cuartito was my dad's storage shed, his man cave. It was like a catch-all for whatever didn't fit in the house would go in the Cuartito. So it was a lot of tools, miscellaneous tools, screws, nuts, bolts, name it. Everything was in there. But Dad knew what was in there. Everything was, it looked like chaos, but it was an organized chaos in my dad's mind. So it had, like I said, it was just jam-packed, and I'll show you in a minute. Actually, let me turn this around so you can kind of see the front of it. There is the front of the Cuartito. That is it. On the inside, again, there was all those tools, just, everything. I grew up in this house. The house that's over here. And so, like I said, everything went in the Cuartito. If nobody didn't know what to do with it, it's going in the Cuartito. So anyways, so there was always obviously accumulation of tools and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, after he passed in November of 2022, I still had Mom. I was their caregiver, Mom and Dad's caregiver. So, through the years, I had to be very mindful of when it came to getting rid of stuff because they were so attached to their items, obviously. So I had to handle with care when it came to, hey, we need to call the Salvation Army or the Goodwill to come take this, these things or what have you. So after he passed, then I was able to go in and just still gradually, I couldn't do it all at once, just gradually would take stuff out and have the Salvation Army, Goodwill come pick up the donations and stuff like that. I would always see the hard hat hanging up there on the wall. But for whatever reason, I couldn't touch it. I mean, I would see it there and I was like, oh, I'll get to it eventually. I don't know what. It just didn't get my attention. I just left it there. And so then, we go on. I'm taking care of Mom. Don't really have time to deal with the Cuartito very much. Even though I would still call Salvation Army and they would come take stuff. Because I was gradually trying to, eliminate some stuff. So after my mom passed in September of 23, then I was like, okay, now I really need to tackle the Cuartito and see what I really need to get rid of, what I can just discard completely. Have I think I had this local company, Space Junkies, something to that effect. They came and they took some stuff for a reasonable price. So I mean, I went through and took out what I could and this and that. But again, I left a lot of Dad's things in there that I felt I wanted to keep, keepsakes. personal things of his that I've held on to. Again, I would still see that hard hat up there. I couldn't touch it. I don't know what it was. It was not until this week, literally a few days ago, I saw it, and I got like the broom handle, and because it was high up, so I had to like try to work it. I got it down. Of course, it was filthy, so I cleaned it. I washed it with Dawn, with bleach. I don't know. I had to, clean it up, make it look white again. And I don't know, then it just prompted me that I wanted to share the story about a continuation of the Cuartito. Because I'm going to show you, I'm going to go into it right now. And I don't have a before. I'm sure I have a before picture somewhere. If I find it, I'll say before. I mean, there's a lot of before pictures. But since I've been in and out of the Cuartito, you can't see because the glare, so please forgive me. Maybe this is better. You can kind of see part of it back there. There's a little bit back there. There's some of my things right there. Some of my decorations and, fake flowers. Let me go this way. Because where the hard hat was up here. Let me move this way. There it is, up there somewhere. Anyways, you get the gist. It was up there. Taller than me. So yeah, that's part of it. I'm missing a window right there. It's kind of ghetto. There used to be a fan there. My dad literally had a fan. And it was this fan. It's kind of upside down, face down. But he had that right there in the window. Because there's not a window screen. He had that MacGyvered in the window, and I took it off, and then I put this plastic. This is literally just plastic. And then I put that trash, don't ask me. I put that trash bag. It lasted for a while. I actually had this taped, duct tape. I got to redo it again because I don't want the kitties to get in. But this is the Cuartito. All this was filled. That board up there with all those little holes, everything. It was covered with all kinds of stuff. Underneath the shelf right there, my finger, underneath he had screwed in cans. Let me turn this around. Peanut butter cans or mayonnaise, anything. He would, after it was done, he would clean it really good, and he would use that for storage with his little nuts and bolts. And he would screw the top of the lids underneath the shelf and then just screw in the bottom. Yes, there's billions. So I've done quite a bit of, I was way close up, of changing, getting rid of a lot of stuff. All this is mine storage, and yeah, excuse the mess, but it's trust me. This is way better than it was. And I still have more to do. Because I'm thinking, okay, this was Dad's space. This was Dad's space. He would come here, move stuff around, and it would basically be him moving from one end to the other. That was, but he enjoyed that. He just liked to do that. So after the fact, after he left, I would come in here and I'd be like, okay. And I would talk to him. And I still talk to him in here sometimes. I feel him in here. And I'd be like, Dad, why did you keep this? I'd be asking him when I would be going through his things or the random knickknacks or whatever. And I would sit here and be like, why? What does this mean? Or why did you keep this? And I was like, but it's very comforting. So now I'm just like, all right, Dad, I don't know what I'm going to do with this space, but at least I'm still using it. Because it's here and I need it. I need the extra space, but it's going to be organized. It's not going to be filled to the rim like it was before. But I love this place. I love it because of the memories and because it's Dad. This was Dad. And I still have a lot of his things. He kept He kept his stuff from when he was in school. I mean, he was 87 years old. He had just turned 87 when he passed. So he had his school stuff when he was in elementary school. He had his binder with the Army because he was in the Army. So I have all that. I kept his school stuff. I kept his composition books. I think that's where I get the writing from because Dad liked to write. He was a born-again Christian, so he wrote a lot from the Bible with his Bible studies. So I kept those composition books of his just because. And his stuff from work, which is why I have the hard hat, and I'm holding on to that too, because it's of him. It reminds me of him and where he worked at Longhorn Cement, and it was just, it's a memory of his that I'm keeping alive. But it's funny, after he passed, and then after Mom passed, same thing. I have some of Mom's things, her writings, and I had written a blog just this week about Mom, because I found a little note of hers, writings from the past. It's in my CeciliaoftheSaints.com. It's one of my writings that I just did because I found one of her writings. She didn't write as much as Dad, but she wrote. She did have little notes on random pieces of paper that I found. So again, I'm keeping those. But all that to say, it's so important to, I don't even know how to say this, because as far as my parents are concerned, it's like I'm learning more about them as I find things of theirs, as I find little bits and pieces of, whether it's their writings. Mom kept a lot of cards. She kept cards galore. She kept things that we made when we were little. The grandkids, she has stuff that she kept that they made for her. But it's just amazing how after the fact, I can sit here and I can look at stuff and find remnants of them and learning more about them than I knew when they were alive. Because my dad was very private. He wouldn't say much. He didn't share his feelings. He was very old school Mexican, strong, silent type, literally. So looking at the things that he kept after all these years show me a glimpse of him that I didn't know. Certain things that I didn't know I'm learning after the fact. So it's a beautiful thing. I look and I come in here and, I see things and I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to mess up the little makeup that I have on. But it's comforting to come in here and to see and to feel I can feel him here. I mean, I can feel him in the house, but here, because this was his domain. So here I can appreciate now, even though I would question, why did you keep this? Why is this here? What does this mean? But now I can see certain things. I can be like, oh, I get it. Now I understand why you were the way that you were. A little bit more of understanding of who he was and why he would do things a certain way. I'll say that. But it's a beautiful thing. Like I said, being able to get that hard hat was just, it was funny. I was just like, oh my God. I'm not sure where obviously, I'm going to leave it here in the Cuartito, but at least it's clean now. And I got all the cobwebs, and the dirt off of it, so it's clean. But it's just funny because now I'm like, okay, now I'm here in the house. Now it's just me. So it's trying to make trying to make it my space now, and still part of him. I'm not taking him out completely, because this is still him here, and that's important. And I'm just I guess sharing his space. Now it's my space, but he's still here, and I'm sure that that he's okay with it. That he's okay that I've kept a lot of his things. That I was very, very mindful and respectful of that. Those things that I did keep, because he kept them for 87 years. I'm going to keep them too. So it's a beautiful thing. Even though this is old and a dilapidated, did I say that right? Shed, because it's old. You could just kind of get an idea if you saw. Let me turn one more glimpse. Just like I said, that's an electric lawnmower that I got. That's covered with the tarp, because that's what Dad would do. I don't know why he would cover everything with tarp, but yeah. So that's part of it. The floor, yeah, it's old, but it's still standing, and I think that's what's important. Is that it's still standing after all these years, after it's weathered a lot of storms. But I guess that's like a lot of us, Lord knows we've weathered a lot of storms, but we're still standing. I'm still standing, and I think that's a blessing. This is a blessing right here. Just being able to share this with you guys. I never thought I would do this, to be honest with you. So please forgive the bad video footage. I'm new at this. This is only my second TikTok video. So be nice. Have mercy. Hopefully I'll have more to come, but I hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a nice weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.